Crystal, I'm going to go ahead and remove you from the studio. If you can just join us on YouTube, that'll be awesome.
Were you talking to someone?
Yeah, I may have accidentally sent that link out. Oh, she went to StreamYard. Okay. I must have put that link somewhere, but I'm not sure where. All right, we got 3 people joining us so far. This is super exciting. I am Keisha Hunter, and I work very closely with Yeye on all of her things, and I'm just excited about the release of the Living Shrine Workbook. So you all are in for a really great and awesome evening where Yeye will actually discuss some of the aspects of the workbook and how you can actually use it as a tool on your spiritual journey. So this is going to be a really great conversation. And if you registered for the event, I have your name already plugged in this evening to win some really awesome raffle prizes. So we'll be doing that a little later in the conversation. So I we can go ahead. I think and get started. We got about 6 people joining us, and please feel free to chat us in on the live stream. I can see your chats, and I'm more than happy to throw questions that you drop into the chat to Yeye because I can definitely see them. So we're just going to go ahead and hop into the conversation. So the first question I want to ask, after the success of the Living Shrine book, which was largely an autobiography of your life, the things that you went through, how you grew up, how you came to adopt African spirituality as a way of life. And also, just it was a really great depiction of the journey from when you were born all the way up until today. And so tell the audience a little bit about why you decided to actually create a workbook based on that, the Living Shrine book.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that question. And thank you, everyone, for joining and being a part of this lovely experience. For me, when before I published the book, maybe about 5 years, 4 years before I published it, I went for a visit to Chicago, and a card reader said to me, "Are you writing a book?" I said, "Yes." She said, You're not writing the book. The book is writing you."
Mm.
She said, "So be gentle with yourself. Know that you're going to finish it when you're supposed to." And then she put another card and she says, "Oh, this book is going to have something like a workbook where people are able to use your experience to guide them."
Mm.
And I was, wow, I was just trying to finish this book that took me 16 years to finish. And
Yeah.
then, so it came to the point where after writing the book, to write your memoir, that's a job on itself because you're being very transparent, open it, and some of your pain, some of your unresolved issues, you just lay them out there like raw meat.
Yes.
like like Lady Gaga when she had the beef and she was walking with a piece of meat. I just, after that, I was like, oh my gosh, it was received. And then I started feeling naked and
Mm.
said, oh, I didn't hear any criticism. People are just saying, yes, I like the book, but I didn't have anyone said that you could have done X, Y, and Z. Now, me being
Mhm.
a Virgo, I am always questioning myself, always wanted to be quote unquote perfection and know that there's no such thing. So I
Right.
was going through this thing of saying, oh my God, there should be another way for me to have more access to see how people really feel about it, because the book is actually my autobiography, but it's also a way of guiding people who are seeking spirituality from an African perspective, or people who are do different things in our life. And so I then said, the way that you're going to find out is if people are going to be able to use the book. And if you're reading, so someone also told me when I was like, I don't see, I was hoping to get a Nobel Prize for, I want to get all of this. And someone said to me, people are not reading these days. People want audiobooks. People don't have
Mhm.
time to take a book and read with them. And I was like, oh, so maybe that's what it is. It's not that the book is not interesting, it's just that people don't have the time. So all of those things in my mind, then I decided then that's what I'm going to do. So I did the reading, got the reading done, and it said it would be a good venture for me to do what was said. But this was told to me about 4 or 5 years before I even published the book, that this would be coming.
I love that. I love that. And so, in kind of diving into the workbook, a big piece of it, and first of all, a big shout out to we the aunties. They're saying we love the book. Have it on hand right now. As she said, right now. Alafia, everyone. Crystal, thank you so much. She said that her workbook actually arrived today. Empress Martin, thank you for joining us. Lindy, thank you for joining us. Definitely be sure to drop your comments, and I'll definitely let Yeye know what you're saying over there. So the first part, as far as diving into the workbook when people receive it, the initial piece is asking people to set intentions. So can you just share with people the importance before they dive into the meat of the workbook, how important it is for them to set their intentions?
Well, this is my third book, and the second book that I had, Meaningful Mondays, it had a magic of its own. So if you got the book, there's a magic that drew you to the book.
Mm-hmm.
Because the book has an energy already that knows what you need. And so that book, the Meaningful Monday, there was a magic to it that you will hold it to your breast. And when you opened it, people would be like, oh my God, it hit the page exactly that I needed to hear, that kind of thing. So that gave the message. So for this one, I think in setting the intention is wherever you are right now and that book landed in your hand, whether somebody gave it to you. I have a sister that a friend of mine that is very active on social media, and she's a singer, performer. And she said that last year she was one of the first people that told me how great it would be as a workbook, that she bought 20 books and gave it to her family members because they were at a family retreat and they used the book as a guide to help them. So I was like, oh my goodness. So let it be that thing that the book guided you to pick it up and to get it. And in doing that, you, wherever you are in your life right now, that book will be able to help you to maneuver and to go through and to come out of whatever it is that you're going through right now, especially with the kind of things that we have going on. When you set your intentions, the book and you will connect and say, okay, so we are working in partnership. We're working in a partnership. You want me to help you and you are being helped by me. So that's the relationship in setting an intention, is that it will help you to guide you when you drop the book, because sometimes you may have to deal with some very parts of the book where you have to be very courageous, and you may put it down and say, I can't do that. I can't read that. And so, but just setting your intention will help you when you get like that. I said, but I remember my intention was to overcome fear of feeling whatever it is. So that's the importance of setting an intention, is you have a contract with the book and yourself. Just like you had a contract with me that I wasn't writing it, the book was writing me.
I love that. I love it. So there are, I believe, 20 chapters total in the workbook, and I'm just going to bounce through and kind of ask a few questions from just a few of the chapters, just to give people a little bit of a taste of what they can expect. So the first chapter I actually want to start at is chapter 2, which is Power in Knowing. So the question that I have for you, Yeye, why is uncovering our roots and lineage such a crucial step in spiritual growth? And how does this workbook walk people through that process?
Thank you. I feel that it's important to know who you are, where you come from, so that for people in the diaspora, for many people all over the world, really globally, sometimes we get disconnected from family and we don't really have a clear view as to who our people were. And that's just not in the diaspora, not just people of color, it's just everyone. Sometimes we don't really know who we are. And so in connecting to your roots and connecting to who you are, you on a journey of spirituality, spirit always have a way of opening up a new thing that you didn't know about your people, about your family. And then you can say, oh, so that's why I'm like that. Or that's why we like this. Or this is what, and then it gives you that connection to know that you weren't crazy. You were the only one that like whatever. For instance, I've shared this before that I've always liked to climb trees and collect rocks. As a child, nobody wants to be, in a thing where you got this weird child that's climbing trees and she's a girl and collecting rocks. At the end of the day, when I went to Nigeria and got initiated into Egbe, that was it. My Egbe climbs trees.
Mm-hmm.
So my spirit, my soul identified with that before I knew. So that's what I was like, okay, so I was not this crazy child that in the middle of church, I would be going outside and getting in somebody else's yard.
Mm-hmm.
And in school, they always had to be telling me, Rona baja del árbol, I'm in somebody's tree. And have conversations with mangoes as to I'm coming back to get you. And I would know how long it would take for it to be ripe and all that. I swing my little legs up there, little bony legs, and just walk with that little bow legs, and I would get it. So then I knew who I was. I was a tree climber. I was a dog. I am a bad ballet. And that's what ballet does, ballet. One of the aspects of ballet is that. So it connects you to knowing that if we don't have a scroll in our life because of modernity and we don't have our community to affirm why we were born and to support why it is, and somehow we feel like we're in a hodgepodge, we are not. Spirit is right there with us. Spirit is right there with us, being our aunties, our uncles, our grandparents, whom we may not know. And then that's how we have family, community. The family that we build sometimes is stronger than the family that we're connected to by blood.
Shame. And that actually goes really well what you're talking about right now into the next question I want to ask, which is chapter 4. It just kind of dives a little deeper as far as your ancestors are concerned. So for someone who has never intentionally connected with their ancestors, when they engage in like the rituals and the altar building activities and things like that that are included in the workbook, what can people expect when they first start really engaging their ancestors?
For me, I think what people can expect is at first be very clear and set an intention. And in the book, that's what we said is set an intention, and everything that you're doing be clear, because you're making a contract with you and what it is that you're looking to delve in. Whatever chapter it is, a little road that you're going on, set the intention so that you don't feel overwhelmed. You're setting the intention, for instance, to connect to your ancestor or to connect to an ancestor who you don't know and who has had an important impact in your life. You set that there. Spirit is going to align them. And so if you're not like, oh God, I hope they don't come like that, that's the intention. The intention is to be afraid on the journey. So you will be. But if the intention is, I really want to know who they are, you really feel, I don't know if this is such a word to describe, you feel clean.
Mm.
Yeah, you feel like you kind of have a bath. For me, when I go to spiritual places and I feel like I'm at home or I'm okay with it, I
Yeah,
always feel refreshed. Like,
I love that.
wow, this is amazing. Because when you start delving with your ancestors, remember, they're with you. Even if you're on the first journey, they've been with you, you know, they're in the blood. And if you are not connected physically by them, the fact that they raised you, you have that moral compass and that social compass to guide you as to the kind of ways that you were raised. Okay. And so when you are looking for the ancestors are looking for you.
Mm.
Because whenever you call someone's name, they never die. And if you're calling great grandma and those, they're like, oh, somebody calling me Mabel, and they're going to show up. Because give an example, this year I had a reading and it stated that I should begin to work more with my father's ancestors. Ordinarily, I work on my mother's ancestors, and y'all know that my mom was. This is the year that she transitioned, and so I was doing my mom and all of that little good stuff because it's comfortable with me. And so I started working with my father's side. Long story, short story, about 4 months after I started that, I met my niece, who is my brother who passed away. I met her for the first time. I knew of her,
Yes.
she knew of me, but we never met. I've seen pictures in the house, in my sister's house, of who she was, and that I knew she was my brother's daughter. But that was pictures of her when she was like 10. And worshiping and honoring and calling on my father's ancestors. My brother, when he passed, we were not connected. I hadn't seen him in years. And when he passed, it was is a tragic situation and where that he passed. And so I always called his name at my altar because that is my father's son.
Hmm.
We had different mothers, but that was my father's son. And we all have the Barbadian forehead that if you ever see them in the crowd, you're going to say, that one there? Mm-hmm. They belong to that clan. Yeah, we the clan
Hmm.
of Guyana with the big forehead from Barbados. And so the lady said to me, my niece said to me that she had been looking for me and she was not able to connect with me because of things that the family said that I was involved in African spirituality and that kind of thing. It was kind of like a taboo. And she had always been wanting to find me, the person that she's a very spiritual person. And I didn't know her at all. And I was having an intensive
The
experience.
immersive spiritual awakening retreat.
Yes, that was about 6, 8 weeks ago. And so during that process, the young lady said that she woke up one morning. She had been looking for me for years, but she was misspelling my name. And one day she woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and said, you know what? I'm just going to look African spirituality because I need to know how to connect with my father. And she put up African spirituality and I came up. She said, there she is. That's my auntie. And she called me and she came to the retreat. And finally, she came to my home and saw and felt our family.
Yes.
So she was looking for me. I was not looking for her, but her father was looking for us to connect. Isn't that beautiful?
Hmm.
So that just gave me a way of sharing with you that don't matter if you don't know who they are, they know who you are. They over there waiting. They waiting. Yes. And I look at her and I said, oh my God, that is us. The forehead, the hands, it's just, there are parts of your body that you can just connect, that.
It
That
was
child, yeah. So
it was really beautiful. And if I can give just a quick testimony, and then I'll get back to the questions of the book. So that immersive spiritual awakening retreat, which by the way, it's happening again in the fall. So you can go to Yeye's link tree to register for that. But that it was, even though I had a little hand in helping to put the whole thing together, I was also a participant. And the power of the ancestors, I always knew my ancestors were with me. I always had that feeling. But going to that retreat and having Yeye pour into me and channel my ancestors and give me guidance and just the feeling, it's hard to explain, and it gives me goosebumps just talking about it. But the guidance that I received and what happened after that retreat, it's hard for me to put into words. It has just been so powerful. And I've been in like an everlasting state of gratefulness because the things that happened were like almost to the T exactly what Yeye said was going to happen. And it could be nothing but my ancestors and, the power that Yeye has for channeling, um, uh, the spirit realm, and how it it was amazing. It was amazing. It's hard for
oh
me to put
wow,
into
yeah.
words. But
Well,
it was truly life changing to really tap into the power of ancestral reverence. It's been life changing.
I share. And I'm so glad that you were there. And you said you played a little part, baby. You played the big part. Big part. And bringing that together and making sure that everybody connected and the fees were paid and people know where to land and what airport and all of that was just so important. And the beauty of it is when you, as myself speaking, when you know who you are spiritually and the way that you channel spirit. Some of us see, some of us hear, some of us intuit. Whichever way that you intuit, you always knew that your ancestors were with you, as you said. But what happens there is like, you have an auntie and she tells you the same thing your mama has been telling you, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, she's so great. Mama been telling you the same thing all along. So that's the same thing. So when spirit used me to channel as a medium, that's what happened is when I'm sitting there with the ancestors, what I'm saying to you, I don't even remember when I'm finished with this, because if you tell me that your ancestor says so, I'm like, okay. And sometimes people are asking me in after a reading or after a session and says, you said so and so. I said I did. Or either someone says some kind of weird thing that they had to do, take 2 oranges and clean yourself and roll it in the mall. I'm like, who gave you that? They said you did. Spirit, you're just an open vessel, and you said the intention that I'm here to help. And the spirit said, okay. And your grandma said, girl, I'm so glad that Keisha came. Go help her, because I've been trying to tell her, and I've been dropping things off the wall. I let her get in the club. I do it wherever she was. Her daughter told her, you need to go up there and tell her the same thing. And that's when you say, oh my God. But that's how it is when you are a medium or your channel. All of us are mediums. Medium just mean that you are between the realm of the veil and the physical. So as a medium, you're a vehicle. And what happened, it was so easy to channel the women that came is because I prepared myself to be in that state. Yes. That I would receive it and be in a state that when I close the veil, I don't remember. There's a big ritual that we do that when we leave the spirit world in terms of channeling and worshiping, which we use Efun in our process, is that we use the Efun, we clean ourselves off and we tap our head 3 times. That's letting you know, okay, I'm leaving here, I'm going to the physical. So once we did that, I forget and I don't remember because that's not mine to remember. Mm-hmm. So that's what makes it, is that spirit will show up where it's supposed to. So your auntie know that you were there, and all of you ladies and men that are listening, they know who you are. So setting up an altar is not something like, oh my God, the wall is going to shake. It's not going to be that you feel so good. I always feel clean. Mm-hmm. I just feel like it was so nice. Or if I go to something and I feel like I need a shower, I know I ain't going back there. So for me, that's I just feel like water.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And let's roll into, with that being said, chapter 5, the power of sacrifice. And I feel like what some people don't understand is that the sacrifice isn't necessarily something physical that's happening as far as a ritual and, with animals or this and other. That's not always, even though that may be a part of the practice, that's not always the case. This actually is talking about sacrifice as a spiritual tool, but personal sacrifices. Can you talk a little bit about how identifying personal sacrifices can become a form of spiritual growth for people?
Thank you. All of us have a way of looking and honoring God. All of us, even an atheist, when he's drowning, he says, oh God, help me. So we all have a way of connecting to something bigger than us. And so when we're doing that, we're actually in a place where spirit is guiding us, but we are not in it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so with that, we are going to know that whatever it is that we're doing in that moment, right now, the spirit is taking me someplace right now, because I just forgot what you were saying. There is somebody on here that has this short lady that and I'm not doing this to be all special and all of that, but if I don't answer this, because all of a sudden my mind went blank. There's somebody on here that is a short, she has a spirit, and this lady is deceased, is a short brown lady, thick hips. I don't know if she smells like peanuts. I don't know if she roasted peanuts or she always had peanuts or she likes peanuts. That particular spirit there, she has this purple kind of like a cloth around her, but the cloth is not something like she's wrapped. It's something that she just works with this purple. So I just needed to say that. I don't know who it is. I'm not trying to be sensationalize this session, but I needed to say that because just as you asked me the question, I went whoop and something said. You know, I used to do that in the show when I lived in Jamaica. I would be doing a day, lecture or class, and all of a sudden, and so it became part of my practice in Jamaica when I was working with you. That to just say what came on, and people would be, "Oh my God," she will be channeling. So ask me the question again. I just whoop.
Yes, ma'am. It's about how personal sacrifices can become a form of spiritual growth.
Okay, so when you're making a sacrifice, you're taking something that is outside of your norm or your daily movement. So sacrifice means I'm going to do something that requires some kind of agreement with spirit or agreement with the situation that I'm willing to give this, to lay this on the altar. I'm willing to surrender this to spirit. So when you're doing a sacrifice, that's what you're doing. You're surrendering to spirit something that's going to take the energy that you're seeking and turn it into the manifestation of the desire that you wanted. So
Mhm.
that's why sacrifice could be uh some faiths have sacrifice where you don't eat, for a number of days until it's sunset. And during that time, you're doing prayers and that's for you to sacrifice the time of eating lunch and breakfast when you're active in that. So it takes you out of that. You can have the sacrifice of giving up the idea of you having to do something to make a barter or a trade, but rather give it up to spirit. So when you
Mhm.
surrender to spirit and you give something in return, the rewards is always larger, is always bigger because it's based on hope, it's based on conviction, and it's sometimes just based on I don't know what the heck is going on, but I'm willing to do this because I'm desperate. so,
Mhm.
so does that make sense?
It does. It
Thank
makes
you.
perfect sense. Thank you. Okay, so I want to move on, Yay, just diving a little deeper into the workbook. Chapter 7 talks about your Ori. And Ori, of course, being a very powerful concept, how does the workbook help someone build a stronger relationship with their Ori or their divine inner self?
When you are praying daily in the morning when you wake up and you have that connection with your brain, which is your best friend, because that's the part of you, your head is who knelt down and chose the destiny that you are living. When your Ori or your head, and when you look at your head as an entity, as an energy, as a God, as something to honor, then when you pray to your head every morning, you are asking your spirit to not disconnect. Don't take your body where your head doesn't want to be.
Mm.
Connect you spiritually, emotionally, mentally, so that you can understand that whatever it is that you're doing, your common sense, your best friend knows what's best for you and will tell you what to do. So when you wake in the morning and you bless your Ori, you're asking your head, your common sense, not to let your ego talk you out of having some sense.
Mm.
That's like you're in a relationship and it says, I know this still ain't working. This ain't working. And you're like, but it pays the bills. Or it's so nice, you know? Or she is just, everything that I've always wanted, really. Your Ori is like, maybe good, but not at this time.
Mm.
So
Yes, ma'am.
that's the honoring as an Ori is knowing, starting out with your bank account full of the day. So you're able to pinch any amount of money that you need. You're able to punch whatever the code is and get the thing that you need in that moment. That common sense is going to link up with spiritual sense, and you may like,
Mm.
okay, that's the end of that, or I need more. So that's how honoring your Ori is. But looking at your Ori or your head is actually divine practice because you're giving yourself, your higher self,
Mhm.
spiritual sense that's connected to you chose this moment, the credit, and not your ego feeling, oh, I'm all that, I'm so smart. No.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm going to pause real quick. I just all of the names that I dropped into our wheel of names so that I can draw for a raffle. So I just completed that. And our first winner is Aaron. So, Aaron, I don't know if you are on with us. Let's see, last name is Kaba. So, Aaron Kaba, you are the winner of the first gift, and that is going to be the Ocean Meditation audio. So, congratulations to Aaron. I do have your email, so I will make sure to email that over to you. I'm not sure if you're on the live with us right now. If you are, drop us a comment, but we will definitely get that audio over to you. All right. So, yes. So, next, I want to hop into chapter 8, which is rejecting dogma and finding spirit. And I think this is going to be big for it. Feels like a lot of people are having a spiritual awakening and they're not sure what direction to go in. So I think this chapter of the workbook is going to help there. And so if you can speak to when if there is someone that is basically breaking free from limiting beliefs while staying spiritually grounded, how can the workbook kind of help them through that process?
Okay, the book is to remind you of the things that you forgot. So when you are asking for guidance and you are on this path and you're looking for the answers, the book, that chapter is going to give you guided practice of exactly how to connect to the fact that you are not in this alone,
Mhm.
and that is it is not hard. Because if it starts being hard, then you ask yourself some point questions. Is this the time for this? Why am I seeking this? Is there a way for me? Give me some ability to discern. So you ask your questions. Self inquiry always helps us to look at things from a broader perspective. And
Mhm.
that way you're able to feel that you're not on this thing by yourself and there are other people. And the magic of this all is that you, whatever you are doing in your life, you have your own religion, your own way. That's what makes it magical. Because can you imagine the billions and billions of people, and all of us have different ways of looking at things, but at the end of the day, everybody wants the same thing. We want to be loved, appreciated, respected, and honored. And if that is giving you, goose pimples when you feel like, oh God, this is honoring me, or this is something that I did and it's helping me to move through it. That in that moment is the thing that's going to reaffirm that you're not crazy and you're not doing devil worship, and so whatever your faith is, faith based, it's all connected to you understanding that the Spirit of God is in everyone and in everybody. There's no dogma, that God made everyone in perfect order and perfect divine self. And so
Mhm.
your practice has a different way, or it comes from a book, and it comes from a dance, or it comes from a prayer, or it comes from shaking, or whatever it comes from. That in that moment is letting you know that you're okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, and in a chapter in my Meaningful Monday, I said, keep walking until you walk right into it. So wherever you're coming from on your journey, that's part of your journey.
Mhm.
That's part of your journey.
I love that. That's beautiful. Um, so chapter 11, the power of names. To me, just from what I've seen here and there out in these spiritual streets, it seems like a lot of people are like quick, whether they've gone through a process or a ritual or anything of that nature, they are quick to want to change their name and get a African name or a spiritual name or what have you. And I feel like it's sometimes it's more of a fad, and some people just don't understand the significance and the power of names. So if you can share with us a little bit, what is the spiritual significance of understanding one's name, and how does the workbook kind of help them to reclaim that power?
Okay, the spiritual power of a name is that the vowels and everything in the book, the diction, the what it means, all of that frames you in a new way. Now, as you said, it's a fad. I think that we are like people who have been adopted. You're always looking for your original parents. And so
Yeah.
when you get involved in anything that is new, you want to identify with the newness of it to keep reminding you, or that you feel like you have evolved, or you're higher, or that you're better, or you're different. And so that's why it seemed, because we have been disconnected. And when I say we, it's people who are seeking a spiritual way of life, like we are practicing African spiritual values in the book, is that you're looking for a place. Even in the Bible, their names will change. Is an awakening that comes with a new word that is affixed with the intention of the word to serve the light of God. So when you have a name, it actually serves as a beacon, so that the universe can not only see you, but you can see what it is that you're supposed to be doing. And that's the encouragement that you find when you're feeling those moments that you need encouragement. So if your name is, you came to earth to help heal, okay, that comes with a lot. That comes with, if I come to heal or work, that means I got to heal myself. So you may find that you're coming and you get a name like that, you're ill, physically, emotionally, psychologically, whatever it is. And so the journey is going to take you to find wellness, is to find healing, right? And when you have that name, the fact that that name is, I came on earth to heal. 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 That's your mantra. I came on earth to heal. So all of the healing things start following you. Oh, you came to heal. Oh, okay. So you came looking for me. Let me give you this. Let me give you this. It's like a song. And that's why when you are giving your Ekomojade, or when you do the your naming and you present yourself, that the child is presented to the world, the name of the child is sang and chanted so that the world will realize this child came from the ancestors to do so what and what. Just as when you're initiated and it says that this path that you're on, this particular shrine says that this is what you will be recognized on when you are amongst your people of that group. Okay. So when you are trying to get a driver's license, your number is 077, whatever your driver's license is. So that means that whenever they stop you on the highway, that's how they're going to identify you, or anything that has to do with that aspect, right? But you have another name that Auntie so-and-so call you because you remind her of something. That's a name, because when she calls you that, or when he calls you that, that's a power and a secret that you have with that. And it keeps that connection, right? Unless, is a name that is derogatory, then you won't answer to it. But if you answer to a name because someone calls you, that it has life. It has life, because anytime you call a name, it's never forgotten. And so when you have an African name, it's very important for you to know, give yourself some time for the name to reveal itself to you. You're not going to reveal the name to, yourself to the name. The name is going to reveal itself to you. And so the power of that is that in that, I didn't like my name when I was initiated. I had all kinds of names before, and, different paths and that. And in the long run, they all meant the same thing. And so one of the things, the tricks and the mysteries of the power of letters and numbers, is that when you're initiated, in my tradition and the things that I teach in my temple, is that you have a spiritual name that's given to you, and then you find out the value of each one of the letters. And when you add it up, it blows the student's mind, because the same volume of the totality of the description of the number that encompasses adding it up is the very same thing that the person's ita or the reader said. Amazing. So it's not by coincidence. It's not by coincidence. And it's just like we're saying that we are in a number 9 vibration. And whether you believe it or not, when you add it up, there is that number. And then when you're looking at the value and the power of that number, then we all are living under this binary mathematical system. So we're all living into, because spirit is science. It's taking formula to create something that's going to open you up to receive what it is came on earth that you said to have. If you came on earth to be happy, hey, you'll know the message. You get the secret and you get the sauce that you'll be able to find it. And when sometime when you can't remember it because you're just in a bad place too long, then it will remind you, aren't you supposed to be doing so and so? Got it? So if you
Mhm.
name yourself, there's nothing wrong with naming yourself, but make sure that you can live up to that down the road.
No, that's right.
So that's why the name that is given is usually comes from a divination, and that, or it could be a name that your spirit gave you in a dream or something to that effect, you know. And so it would be a way of you remembering that there's an agreement that you have with some spirit, with some energy. That's and you could have several names. In traditional Yoruba land, you have a name from your mama, the temple, the Orisha that you are. You're the third generation of people with a mole on their leg. You are, because it's the world, the whole community. You belong to the world.
Yeah.
Then you get to the point where in Yoruba land, when we are mothers, you're called by the name of the last child that the person knew when you had them. So you then all of those titles that you have, Miss Takataka, Woko 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 Woko, you end up being the mama's Billy Lele. Because at the end of the day, that's the most powerful thing. You are the mother of a child that just came from the ancestors. Don't forget that. Don't act crazy. Don't be out there twerking. You twerk to get the baby. We done. And if you go twerk, twerk for something that you're looking for to be twerked on. So, so it is. It's that it's the name is such a beautiful way of reminding us of the power that we
Mhm.
have when people summon us and call us and bring us to God because that's what God sees. Just like when you wear a color, there's certain colors that you just have that vibration. All of us know the color that resonates with us. We
Mhm.
have something in our tone that it just looks good. No matter if you try another color, you always, when you go to buy something, you gravitate to that. Your spirit is science. Is science. We are earth. That we are breathing each other's oxygen. When I breathe out, you breathing in mine. So I don't know this thing about enemies and causing you and all. We all sucking up the same each other's bacteria. COVID taught us that, right?
Yeah, for real.
So we were like, we ain't different. No, all of us are the same thing. So the name that's given to you is just for you to open up to the resonance that the person that's next to you may need something from you and be open
Yeah.
to give it, to share it because you remember who you are. Your name is not fufu. Your name is walking in dignity. All
Mhm.
of the names that I've had, I've always meant the same thing, somehow leading me to something like that. And I could know them. I could get these names from different times, different people. Find they're all the same because you are the same person, just in another spiritual vibration language.
Yes, that's beautiful. My name means hunter of great joy and happiness, and I feel like any other names that I end up having will be the same
That's
as,
it.
as that's my purpose. So
That's it. That's
I
it.
love that. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, so let's hop in, yay, into a subject. This is chapter 13. It's called "When Things Fall Apart," and with the state of the world and the economy being what it is, and the madness that's happening, especially really around the world, if you think about it. When life falls apart, how does this workbook help someone rebuild spiritually and emotionally?
The way that it allows us to have the reality that life has always been the same thing. This same kind of craziness, if you listen to any of my shows that I did on Blog Talk in 2004, I'm going to say the same thing, that the world is crazy and what's going on. It's just a different level of crazy. And the thing that we have is we have more social media, so we have access to it. And then we have craziness going on that we believe that the craziness on social media is real. So the things that are happening, that's called life. It's called
Mhm.
evolution of humanity. It's called finding that at the end of the day, if you curse the sunshine and if you charge us for solar lighting or whatever, God is in charge of whether the sun is going to fall out of the sky or not. You just got to find a way of you dealing with it. right?
Mhm.
So when we have the world that's going on now, the way that we can reconnect when things fall apart, things are falling apart because of what you are looking at as something that is negative.
Mhm.
I was just speaking to someone, and there's a proverb that says, there are no roses without thorns.
Mhm.
When you're looking, that Odu is telling you that the rose is so beautiful, it smells nice, and you want to go pick it, and just it costs you, ow, you forgot that you had to approach it differently because you didn't know that a rose has thorns. So in
Mhm.
life, things may be beautiful, but there are going to be some circumstances that make you have to think, be aware of, be exposed to a different way, and then you'll be like, oh, okay, well, the next time I touch a rose, I know what to look for.
Mhm.
Knife, and I'm gonna pick off all of those little things, right? And so when we are falling apart, and when we think that we're falling apart, is in that moment we're believing that there are things that are greater than us, that we are victims, and we accept the role of victims, that someone and something is stronger than us. As long as the sun is shining and rain is gonna come and wet your weave up, trust me, the world
Mhm.
is the same. The world is the same. So if you think it's gonna rain, walk with your umbrella. Or take up leave and go natural. But don't feel, oh my God, it's raining. Because if it doesn't rain, we're not going to have food to eat because we
Yeah.
need water. So we have to, depending on how you're looking at it, but the world is always going to be in that because it's negative and positive creating reality. We look at
Right.
the enslavement of our people in the West. Look at what we have done just in America. We're just going to say what we have done, what our ancestors, when the diabolical system of creating a new way of life, bringing people without their consent, studying and getting people that have strengths and genius in different way, and organizing them, getting together to help start this new world that you're doing. That took genius. And so in getting people who were to be free labor, you had to send someone in there to talk about something. I mean, be whatever it is, gifts, like in Chagazulu, people took trinkets and all of that and got to the secrets of how is it that he, whatever it is that Chagazulu was keeping, being such a warrior. And so before the enslavement period, you had connections with people who would later enslave you. But the connection was like, oh, we're going to do this. And then they flipped it and did this. But in the bringing us here, brought thinking, planning, we're going to bring geniuses here because we went to Morocco and we went to Timbuktu and we saw running toilets. Oh, wow. We went to different,
Mhm.
we had a slave back in biblical times that went and saw they had bathrooms, they weren't pooping on the street. Oh, wow, these people are genius. So down the line, you get that continual interaction, be it on a ship, be it with commerce. You learn new things and new techniques. So when you learn the master of how to enslave a people, whichever way it was, and bring you here, you choose exactly the type of people you want. That's why America is so powerful, is because Black people were raised it, because our ancestors were chosen. The smartest scientists were able to to build entire cities and to educate and to interact with people and show them how you can take a raw piece of earth or a raw experience and make it something beautiful, because the people had limited understanding of the mastery of any particular thing. We came from so many different places. So look at the things that there was such a horrible thing experience for us to come to where we are. But now Black people are all over the world.
Yes.
And anything that we're in, we master it because we have a direct connection to the sun. So because of that, we're easy to track, because whether you're German, Jew, Irish, whatever, you can change your the vibration or the accent, and you could be considered whatever the dominant culture wants you to be. But when you're Black, that's it.
Black to black.
You can be found, and that's why God, in its majestic brilliance, it gave us the ability that the sunshine is our blessing.
Mm.
The sunshine is our blessing. So as long as the sun is shining,
Hmm.
we will always be able to create the next highest vibration to take us as a civilization, not as a people, as civilization in the world.
Hmm.
We are able to teach that. And then we have locations where we were put in the enslavement period that have minerals and gold and now they're trying to do like take it by force. And we've been through this
That's true.
because we have a target on our back. That is the word B, I guess, for black. Is that when wherever we go, we always gonna show up as the most bright because the sunshine, baby. And scientifically, I was looking at this thing the other day that scientifically, the there was a study done on the DNA, how many files of DNA each culture, each race had, and people of Europe, of the white race, they had, I think it was 6 files of DNA. When you look at people from Africa, it was 9. I was like, so I'm talking here in vagueness because the concept, I'm not a scientist, but the concept was that wherever we go, scientifically, so this is not something that we are, and that's why there is so important for us to know our names, so important for us to know that when things look like they're falling apart, they're just coming together.
Hmm.
They're just coming together because we realize we live through so much. And as long as we're out there, we're doing the vitamin D and living in the sun and getting out in the sunshine. You see how I done got so nice and brown? That's what I do. Is I soak up enough vitamin D so when the European man's winter come, I got enough vitamin D. That's why we have deficiencies because that's what gives us our strength is putting that vitamin D with the melanin because we're living in a culture where we're inside, we're not in nature. So that's how it is when you think things are falling apart, baby, this is a new birth. People are grabbing their fans and say, okay, let's dance. We've
Yes.
been there. We've been
Yes.
there.
That's beautiful. And let's segue into what's actually the following chapter, a couple of chapters after that. It's the importance of elders. And because I think even like what you're talking about, there is a need, I feel like, for us to tap back into the power and the strength of the people who maybe are not our ancestors yet in the spiritual realm, but people who came before us, whether they are a part of our direct lineage or not. But people who are elders who have experience. Can you speak a little bit about the restoration of the sacred role of elder wisdom in a person's life and how that can help them in their growth?
Well, elders are, they're the books. They hold the wisdom. And if the wisdom was because they're wise choices, or if the wisdom came by doing stupid stuff, they all they're a volume of what not to do. That's why my book is like, today people are calling me Iyalode, and I have these titles and all of that. And then you read the book and you're like, oh, she just like us. Yes. So as an elder means that you're in a position of leadership is because you have more experience on the particular subject. That's what makes you an elder. And so in life and how to make it as a people, how to make it as a human, you want elders because they are going to give you some of the things, some of the red flags
Mm-hmm.
to avoid so that you don't completely fall into the hole. So the elders are there to give us that place in our life that we know that one day the things that I'm going through will have value.
Mm-hmm.
And the elders always talk about when I was so and so and so, and you're like, why are you telling me this? Because it's to let you know today I'm saying I know my teeth, I know my name, and it's because even though I was crazy, I'm here. And so as an elder, the reason that we need elders so much today is because we are always so used to community and family. And family, we come from that society where when you are living in a culture that in your DNA is living close to the sun, everything is shared, everything is communal. We're not in
Mhm.
a culture that it comes from the cold, that it took 9 days to catch this bear. I don't want to be social with you. I'm gonna keep this bear for myself in my cold cave. When you're in a place that is abundant, you don't mind sharing all of your oranges because you know you're gonna get some more. So when you are a person or people who family is the thing that holds us together, the disconnect that we have in this culture because of the modernity of just doing more, better, having more things, we forget and we move away from family to get jobs or to have a different way. You wake up one day and you never go back home or that kind of thing. Then the sense of who you are able to go to for wise advice is limited because it's just people that you just met versus if you were there. Now, then also you have elders who were, because of circumstances, didn't even know the worth and the value that they had because we forgot to remind them that we valued them.
Mhm.
And so, in doing that, then what we're doing is disregarding the treasure that we have, the book, the historical book that we have. So now it's our time to go back, dig in, and talk to our elders. Make sure that they're not dying alone. Make sure that they're not in these places of just retirement or that they're no use anymore. Come back together. And what's happening in the world, as we were saying earlier, is that it's causing us to look at the world in a different place. We're back to social, being very more social. And the thing with COVID, I don't know whether it was intentional for us to separate or whatever, but it worked beautifully for us to give a minute and to see what it is that we wanted to do. I coined the frame, I coined the verse that says that COVID was actually a universal timeout, that we took the time to look at some of the things and it worked for our behalf. But nonetheless, how it hurt us is that we have children who for 4 years, they went to school on computers. They don't know how to interact. I had a class the other night with children and none of them were able to have a conversation because they're not being taught how to relate to each other. 4 years for a child is a long time. And so 4 years for an adult is a long time. And so the sense of transparency, the sense of vulnerability, that people have your back and that don't worry, that, you know, whatever you're going through, you have someone to bring you, that is foreign to many of us
Mhm.
because we were so isolated and we're still isolated. So the importance of elders is so that we can come back together. This is the time for us to call on the elders, invite them, and put up with them when they try to tell you about back in the day we went to school for you. Like, okay. So but allow that because
Yes.
at the end of that there's some wisdom. There's wisdom. If they're still alive, they can tell you how not to cook rice. Tell you. If that's all they can tell you, they'll tell you how to eat and how to survive. So the role of elders is so important because we are a people that our social understanding, our sociology is that we belong all as a human family. And within that human family, we have individual families. And within that family, we have who's the leader, who's the father, who's the mother, what are we leaving for our children. So
Mhm.
that's why it's so important for us to now reach back and to have conversations and have honoring of the elders and having programs for our elders and letting them know their worth and that kind of thing so that people are not 27 and consider themselves elders because in that community everybody is 9.
Right.
You are an elder, but when you're dealing with life and giving you some skills, you need someone that has lived this and passed through it and can give you some things as to don't give up or look at it from a different perspective or kudos to you for even doing that. And the one thing that I think that is going to strengthen people and what the book is going to show you is that the importance of family, the importance of supporting our men, the
Mhm.
importance of allowing men to know that they have tear ducts because God didn't make a mistake, but they are there for tears, and that the things that men are going through spiritually, the work that they have to do is they have to do it with other men. And so working together with other men will open their hearts to knowing that it's safe and create sacred space for them to do their work of coming out of a system that was set up to destroy
Mhm.
the family. Because when we're separate, then you can conquer whatever it is that you want to do. Yeah.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. Okay, I'm going to take this time, Yay, to actually do another drawing. So we'll do another raffle drawing. And these names that I put in were people who registered for tonight's event. Thank you so much for your support and for registering, and for those of you who donated. And please definitely keep in mind that Ye's organization, IIASK, is a 501c3. So we definitely are appreciative of your donations. It allows Yeye to keep the temple running, the classes, the ways that she pours into you all and to us. It allows her to keep that going. So we definitely are very grateful for your donations, and you can donate at any time at yeyefini.com. There are donation buttons there. So we are grateful for those donations. So the next raffle winner I have is Sandra. Let me see. Last name is Johnson. So Sandra Johnson, you are our next winner, and the prize that we have is going to be the journaling class. So I will make sure to send you that audio. It's a powerful class. Actually, it's included in one of the, I think it's in the self-empowerment course, which I think that's coming up again at the end of this year. But we will send you the audio for specifically the journaling class.
Oh, sure.
All right. Okay. All right. So the next question I have for you, Yeye, in regards to the workbook, chapter 18 talks about Orisha. So for someone who is curious about Orisha, that's, this is their first time being introduced to African spirituality in that way. So for someone who's curious, how does the workbook introduce these divine energies in a way that feels accessible and respectful?
Repeat that again.
So in regards to the Orisha, how are people with the workbook, or even with the book as well, how are they introduced to some of these divine energies in a way that feels accessible to them?
Okay, some of them we are giving you suggestions or tools that you can tap into Orisha. Orisha as head source is it's science, the compression of science, scientific tools, method, colors, days of the week, expressions, and we call that Orisha. So if there are elements that go with it. So in some of it, you may be introduced to the concept of Yemonja. Who is Yemonja? The Divine Mother, the mother of the world. And there's stories that we give you about it. And who Yemonja is. Yemonja is the energy of healing. Yemonja is the sign of cancer. Yemonja is the Divine Mother, your mama. She's the big mama that always gives you everything. That's why in our culture, July, during the Yemonja cycle, is when we honor Yemonja, under the sign of Cancer. And so we may say do something and honor Yemonja, or use a blue candle because it's bringing in that energy. It's not telling you that you're going to now be initiated, or you're going to, from this day forward, you have to call it Yemonja. It's just calling into the force, the universal force of women who all have the same vital parts of the organ, the breast, the vagina, the labia, all of that. We're calling in that force for you to get in touch with that exists with you. And for the man that is using the book and it calls in to use that, is calling into the force that the fact that you have breasts, you were once a female. And so the importance of balancing those emotions, that you are, there's a part of you that is a woman, there's a part of you that's female, and so you're calling in that to come and to give you that nurturing that you need at that moment, devoid of what you look like outside, externally, internally. In that moment, you need to connect to the feminine aspect of you, who is to be vulnerable, who is to be nurturing, who's understanding, who's just to give without feeling that if I give too much, I think I'm weak. That aspect of you. So the Orishas are explained in the way that you're using the colors, the ritual, and why that particular scientific compression of the energy that you want to awaken in you It's just happened to be called Ogun,
Mm.
right? So if you need to talk about Ogun, that means something different than Yemonja, because Yemonja is awakening the feminine that lives in both men and women. Ogun is saying it's awakening the part of you that is both in men and women, but it is the energy that at this time the women have to act with valor and and strength and physical power because we all have it. But at that moment, that's what you need to show up like a hunter, like you said, to be the warrior. You got to show up like that. And you have to then honor that particular color, day of the week, the food, the essence, so that you can become that scientific compression. So when you set your intention to the universe, you say, I need courage, I need courage, I need courage. Bam, you took the bath. I need courage, I need courage.
Mhm.
Stuff comes, courage shows up.
Mm. Beautiful. I love it. So hopping on into the next chapter, actually chapter 19 is glancing back, moving forward. It kind of reminds me of the term Sankofa, looking back so that you can move forward. So reflecting on past journeys, such a is reflecting on past journeys is such a necessary part of moving forward spiritually. So how does the workbook help guide someone in that type of reflection for themselves?
Well, it helps you to recognize that there's no mistake.
Mm.
There's nothing wrong with you because whatever you've been led you to here. Whatever you've been through lead you to the moment that you have that book and that you need it because something in there is going to awaken that energy as again the compacted expression of whatever the divine orisha is, a divine situation is. When it opens up,
Mm-hmm.
that is exactly what it is that you need. So it's self engineering
Mm-hmm.
because you all of us have our way of looking at God. All of us have our own religion. We all have our way of looking at God. And if it's in a particular thing, it could be a little different in each time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you walking in and you want a job. You're not going to walk in and say, oh, it would be so nice to have me here because I am such a wonderful worker. I have worked at other jobs and this is this. No, you walking in there like, I own this
Mm-hmm.
because the energy that you're giving, you don't have to say anything. You walk in there and they look and they say, okay, the shoes are not runned over. Their heel is clean. The man has on a tie that is not crooked. Okay, so maybe there is. And once you start selling yourself, presenting yourself, then that's what wins it over.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on how is it that you're coming, how is it that you're in that moment, who are you representing? What is the religion right there? The religion right there. Religion is the thing that is calling you back. Go back. Ligament. Right? I heard this, learned this in Raul Nefer's book, Meduna Terra, Volume 1, that religion means going back, ligament, ligare, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going back to the thing that ties you back to who you are. So if aggressiveness is what you need to win the war, it's tying you back to being a hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's softness that you need, you walking in, it's a different thing. That's like when you walk into the room and you are yourself. Everybody know who you are. And that's why children can replay exactly who we are because they read the room, they read us because they know that we code switch in a minute. And children like, mama like him or daddy like her because his face lit up. You don't light up like that when I look at. So that's the same thing.
Beautiful. That is beautiful.
We exude just power. That's why everybody got to get out and love up on this summer. Soak up the vitamin D and let the melanin give you the brilliance to know how to show up in a room and take it.
So I want to do one last raffle drawing before I hop into the final question, and then we'll look to see if there are any questions from people in our chat. So get your chat questions ready, to drop. And let me do first of all the very last. And we thank you everyone who registered. So those are the names that I'm pulling from. So I'm going to do one final spin of the wheel, and this person will actually receive an autographed copy of the Living Shrine workbook. All right, and the winner is, it's twirling. The winner is LaKendra Louisa. So LaKendra Louisa is the winner. I don't know if you are on the live with us still this evening, but LaKendra Louisa, you are the winner of the autographed copy of the Living Shrine workbook. So we're excited. I have your information, and we will make sure to that we have your address so that we can get that over to you very soon. So thank you all for joining us again. I'm going to hop into the last question, and I think this is very fitting. The last chapter of the workbook is called My Clan, and you spoke a little bit about this throughout the course of this evening. But if we can hone in on, of course, this chapter focuses on the power of community and family. So let's talk a little bit about how embracing our clan, whether they're spiritual or biological, how that can transform our spiritual practices in our overall lives.
Okay, when you're a part of a clan, it doesn't mean that you're there just to taking up space. You are the clan. You're a minuscule of the clan. So the clan is depending on you, that wherever it is, the clan, what you say, is spiritual group or whatever, sorority, fraternity. When you show up, you strengthen that union. You strengthen that unity. You become that link, that last link that everybody was waiting on. So when you become a part of a group, your job is to be there and not say, well, the same 5 people are doing it. Well, then you're taking away, so the clan will be weak. We have to work together so that you not only are taking, you are giving, because on the day that you die or you leave or whatever it is, the circumstances change, you have created a place where people are still drinking from the cup that you presented when you're there. So it's very important to know the clan, whatever you belong to, is that you are the clan, a minuscule of it. Just like this water I'm drinking, it has the same molecules as the river, right? So it's just a smaller amount, but it's the same thing. This is not fire, it is water. And so when you are with your clan, know that that's what keeps you evolving, because your clan will meet other clan and you have interaction with who your people are. And when you know who you are, then you get value and strength from what you come from. My clan have always been very brave. They will always sacrifice. And it's always about our people. And then when I got my roots reading many years ago, the clan that spoke to my family's Odu was the elephant. The elephant, when you see the family or the clan or the grouping of elephants, if anything is coming to attack them, the male will not leave the female, or the female is not to go with the male, like in the Lion Kingdom. What they do is they protect the babies. They stand around and make a little fort, knowing that if the lion comes, he can get one of the old ones, not the future. So when that came, that's why I wanted all these children. I originally wanted 9 children. And so God was good and gave me, 3 and a bonus baby. But in that saying that, I'm saying that it is about protecting our future, our culture. It's about, what are we going to leave to our people? If we allow the other animals to come and eat it up because we're so busy protecting ourselves that we miss the important thing, which were the babies. So my clan has always been one that loved community. in spite of anything, is going to sacrifice for spirit, for God is always going to be on the forefront. And the strength that we have in my family and in our clan is that no matter what, we do not give up.
Mhm.
We do not give up. So I draw strength from that because as human beings and some of the things that as human and we're evolving situations as just human, we all have our own issues. That's the thing that I go back to. Look, I come from some strong women and strong men.
Mhm.
And my family story sheds lights to that. You know, both parents, you know, were raised in a different country than their parents. My
Mhm.
grandma and grandpa were raised, you know, got married and had my mom, and my father's mother had him, and they came from another country. They never went back, but they created something from it. They said,
Mhm.
where we are, we're going to make something out of it. So we don't give up. We always find a way.
Gotcha.
And so when you know your clan, that's the thing that you draw on is that if you are a person that don't give up, always have people that you feel that you need to protect. And
Mhm.
that's my, and sometimes in my moments when my bigness of dream, because I be biggest of dream, I'm like, why I gotta do it? Well, why not? Because that's who you are. So just find people that will tap you on the back when you're feeling like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. Just call somebody that can say, pow, pow, pow. You know who you are. You know you gotta gather up and protect the babies. Later that is 25 lions coming. Got it? Yeah, so when you know your clan, you know no matter what, where you are, you call. And then the elephant is a community person. I
Mhm.
love community. Sometimes I share too darn much about my life in the community, but you know, they're gonna find out anyway. So when you know what your plan are, what you come from, what your strengths are, nobody can talk you out of it. Nobody can talk you out of it. I was just reading something about what's the actor from Driving Miss Daisy,
Mhm.
about what he went through in his life. From he was a little bitty kid to where he was, and he started acting in that as a grown man, baby. And today, you know, he leaves a legacy for many people to be inspired with the way he has of portraying people and taking you right there. So we all
Mhm.
know from something, and that's why when I hear these actors, I mean, these are like yesterday they were having the draft, and I kept so tired of hearing these boys talking about I came from nothing. You didn't come from no nothing.
No, that's right.
These people are giving you dollars, and because of that, you think that what you had was nothing. Every one of them said, I came from nothing, and I just want to thank my mama. And we have to understand that when we are seeing families disenfranchised right now, and we have men not being in a position to take care of their family, and that is because it's organized. The system is meant to destroy the family because when
Mhm.
there's unity, we already have a tag on our backs. And when there's disunity, and we are be weak. And if we take the man that's going to be the head and weaken him and break him, don't have the jobs for him, create moving careers, educating our children, understanding that the best thing for them to do is to go to college, that with the hope that they will be able to compete on the level of Western understanding versus going to the shops. Give the children shop classes as we did before. Teach them how to work with metal work, teaching them how to sew, teaching them how to make different. That would give a man a place to be the head of his family. So
Mhm.
organized genocide. We have to understand that when we see these boys saying, "Oh, my mama was there, my father was there," don't start downing on dying the man down. My father was an alcoholic. The system created a place where he could not find his voice. The system. I know my generation, when my friends came back, who came back from Vietnam, there was no parade. That's the one war there was no parade because that war was not fought. But anyway, I'm getting political. Anyway, go back to the reality is that when we know who we are and our clan are, nothing can break us down. As a
Yeah.
people, we have to support our men. We have to encourage them. We have to give them the help, show them. And women, we have the power. We have the power. We have the power, what they say, from the cradle to the grave is the woman. So we have the power to do that with our children, with our nephews, with our nieces, create a world where they can see themselves, their walls, and see the art and the things, and take them to places where they can see themselves as this beautiful gift and radiation of melanin.
Yes. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Yay, yay. The Living Shrine workbook is available on Amazon. Someone asked if you were going to be selling some signed copies, and so I'll put a link up for that definitely by tomorrow. So if you all are listening in, just visit that link tr.ee /Ask Yeyefini, and I'll have a link up for some signed copies of the workbook. And we want to encourage you as well to purchase the autobiography book, The Living Shrine. So I would encourage you to do both of them, the Living Shrine book, so that you can get the full picture of who Yeye is and what her journey has looked like, which inspired her to create also the workbook, which will give you a really great guide on how to grow in different areas, particularly in your spiritual walk. So,
And the thing of it is that that's why you need the book, because the book is going to give you the color as to why is it that we're making this statement, as to why is it that if you feel disempowered, then you read chapter 12 and you're like, oh my God, the dude had a gun to her neck. Got it?
exactly.
So it works together. That's the
Yes.
baby of the original book, is the baby, is the one that's
Mhm.
going to let you see the value of who you are, not me, who you are. Because the same things that I'm going through, black, female, born this century, overcame all of the adversity, all of that, that's you.
Mhm.
You're going to meet my father, same thing, man struggling with emotional things because of things created in a society that didn't give him the voice to be the best expression of himself. And in that, you learn how to forgive, how to regain trust, how to know that what happened to you was not happening to you, but happening for you.
Sure.
To come to the point where whatever it is that you chose to be, or whatever the misalignment was in your upbringing, that is a place that you can start from, to forgive and to open up and to know that life is a beautiful place, and the stuff that's going on, it has always been going on.
Mhm.
It has always been going on. It just needs for us to now come together and stop looking for that one leader. We don't have a leader. We're used to having a leader, and that's why the leaders that we had were off, because we started coming together. So we have to lead ourselves. And when there is a leader, it don't have to be one. It has to be many. And we have to be valued. And don't
Mhm.
talk about each other in companies that don't need to know our story or who we are. Don't try to be that one black person that is the you're held as the representation of your race, because
Right.
that is done. So we just have to just find our leaders within ourselves, and within that, each place that we are, we have that. Because remember, Africa was not a country. It was never a country. So each location had different rules.
Mhm.
So we can do this.
I
So
love that. And
thank
I want, and but before you say your final goodbyes, yeah, Jay, I wanted to encourage everyone, when you have an opportunity, if you have already gotten the book or the workbook, please go to Amazon and just scroll all the way to the bottom of the page where you purchased the book and leave a review. The reviews help tremendously for Amazon to amp the book up and out,
you.
to get it on other people's radar. So please, if you are able, log into your Amazon and just type in the Living Shrine workbook and leave a review for what type of impact it has had on your life and your well-being. So if you do you have some final words you'd like to say, yeah, yeah?
Well, just thank you so much for always being there with that beautiful smile, and thank all of the people who love me and took their time to come today. And know that leaving the review is very important, because one day you will be writing your story. You owe it to yourself to write your story so that you can look at it and say, well, I could have done it differently. But, at least somebody knows me in another way. So do the reviews, visit my website, encourage the work that we're doing on my platform, and be a part of us. My dream and my love is that we have a place where our children can go to school. We have a place where our children can write in cursive, to be able to know who Shaka Zulu was, to know who Mansa Musa was. That is my dream, is for us to know that the dollar bill that we have with the dead presidents, that ain't our life. So just continue to do the work, and as long as I am alive, I will be protecting the babies in the middle of the thing. And the babies are you. Babies are you, the people who are trying to find their way in a world where the vicious animals are coming at you. I want to be that I gather all of the little babies together and tell the big elephants to protect them. That's what I
I see. And just finally, for everything that Yeye has coming up, if you are in the Dallas Fort Worth area in July, Yeye will be at Pan African Connection Bookstore, which, of course, if you are from that area, you know it's an amazing place. So she will be there in July. That is also in that link tree. So linktr.ee/ Ask Yeyefini. So please grab your or register for that event as well. And she'll also actually be available for in-person readings in Dallas. So take full advantage of that as well. And then finally, I do want to real quickly share what I was talking about earlier, the immersive spiritual awakening retreat. It was so phenomenal and so life changing for myself and the other participants. We went in April for that, and we are having another one in the fall. So there are only a handful of slots available for that. We keep the group small on purpose because it's a lot of work for Yeye for that weekend. But it's so very impactful. We did ritual. We communed together. We ate some amazing food from Priestess Oyabumi. She cooks vegan and vegetarian meals for that weekend. We did yoga, we had massages. Like, it was so life changing. I cannot fully explain. So I highly encourage, if that is something that you're interested in, to also go to the link tree. And you do have to register. Not everyone will be accepted. Yeye does a reading on anyone who registers to make sure that it's a good fit. I encourage you, though, to register, to try to be a part of the next one that we're having. It really is life changing. So
let me say something here, that the groups are small, not because it's hard on me, because I have a staff that helps me. The groups are small is because in intimate space you have to feel secure, and that's why I can't do 10 people. We can't. It can't be, because we need to make that human connection that we're talking about, community and trust, and being safe enough to be vulnerable, to let spirit walk through you and work through you. So it's not because I can't have, because maybe I can have once, but
yes,
thank I wanted to.
yes. Yes, ma'am. All right. Well, we appreciate you all for joining us. Please feel free to share this live throughout your networks. That would be a huge benefit, a huge help to IIASK and Yeyefini Balanced Living. Again, your donations go to support all the things that she does for us as a community just looking to grow spiritually and in life. So we thank you all for coming, and
I
we will
have
see you.
one last thing that I wanted to say, that I meant to say with you, that because of us being in the cycle of the new moon was in Cancer of Yemonja, and Yemonja is the energy. The Cancer is about giving and just nourishing our community. I am going to have once a week. I'm going to, and I will talk to you about how you're going to write that up. Once a week, I'm going to give consultation for a fraction of what the cost is for the entire cycle of this new moon till the next new moon, as my way of giving to people who are, because sometimes the way that things are going on financially, you may be in a place, and we have the free 15 minutes that you can always call me and talk situations, but I wanted to do a little more, and my spirit says to do that, to make it at a fraction of what it is there's a reading, and we'll do that once a week, the entire one day during the week until we're finished with this cycle. So I meant to talk to you about that. So
Okay.
thank
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All right. Well, you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you again for joining us. Please share, share, share. And if you have the book or the workbook, please leave a review. It helps tremendously. So thank you all for joining us, and we will see you in Dallas or every Wednesday at 12 o'clock Eastern for the Power of You. So Yeye goes live every Wednesday on YouTube and Facebook for the Power of You. So you can also grab some gems there. So thank you for joining us.
And if you want me to come to your city, talk to Keisha.
Give us a shout. We're ready. All right, y'all have a good night.
Good night.